Manipulators don't argue with logic, they weaponize your emotions, and the first toxic game they play, the one that makes you doubt your sanity, is called gaslighting. This isn't just about someone disagreeing with you, it's about them systematically dismantling your perception of reality, twisting events, and denying things they clearly said or did until you start to question your own memory, your own judgment, even your own sanity. Imagine confronting a friend about a cruel comment they made, only for them to look you dead in the eye and say, "I never said that. You're imagining things. You're always so sensitive." Or perhaps it's a partner who subtly rearranges something, then insists it was always that way, making you feel crazy for noticing the change. The aim here is insidious, to destabilize you, to make you so reliant on their version of events that you lose trust in your own inner compass. They want you confused, disoriented, and pliable. But how do you fight an enemy that makes you doubt your own mind? And how do you even begin to recognize these invisible attacks before they completely shatter your sense of self? This is a battle for your reality, and your first line of defense against gaslighting is to trust that knot in your stomach. That subtle whisper inside you that says, "This isn't right." Start documenting. Not to prove them wrong to them, but to prove your own reality to yourself. Write down conversations, keep texts, make mental notes of events. You're building a personal archive of truth. And crucially, seek external validation. Talk to a trusted friend, a family member, or a therapist. Someone who can reflect reality back to you, untainted by the manipulator's agenda. Remember, the goal of gaslighting isn't to win an argument, it's to win control over your mind. Don't let them. Once they've tried to warp your reality, a manipulator's next move is often to shed their own flaws onto you, playing a twisted game of hot potato with their own insecurities. This is projection. You see it when someone incapable of being honest accuses you of lying, or when a deeply insecure person constantly criticizes your perceived flaws. They can't bear the weight of their own unacceptable traits, so they offload them onto you, making you the villain, the dishonest one, the unlovable one. Take the story of Sarah, who spent years in a relationship where her partner, Mark, was notoriously unfaithful. Yet, whenever Sarah mentioned her feelings of insecurity or asked about his whereabouts, Mark would fly into a rage, accusing her of being paranoid, distrustful, and even manipulative for always trying to control him. He was projecting his own infidelity and guilt onto her, making her the problem for simply reacting to his behavior. It's a psychological sleight of hand, designed to deflect responsibility and avoid any painful self-reflection. They don't want to deal with their own shadows, so they force you to carry them. To defeat projection, you must refuse to catch their hot potato. When someone hurls an accusation that feels completely foreign to who you are, pause. Ask yourself, does this sound more like them than it does me? Most times, the answer will be a resounding yes. Do not internalize their accusations. Do not try to defend yourself against something that isn't yours. Simply state your truth calmly, without emotion, and refuse to engage further in the blame game. I hear what you're saying, but that's not my experience of myself. This draws a firm boundary, signaling that you will not be a receptacle for their unwanted emotional baggage. But what happens when they don't just project their flaws, but weaponize their weakness, turning themselves into the perpetual victim to control your actions and emotions? This brings us to the third toxic game: guilt, tripping, and victim playing. This is less about confusing you and more about shackling you with obligation and pity. After everything I've done for you, how could you even think of doing X? Or, if you really cared about me, you wouldn't go out with your friends, you'd stay here because I'm feeling down. Think of the parent who constantly reminds their adult child of every sacrifice they made, subtly implying that the child owes them a lifetime of deference and obedience. Or the friend who always seems to be in a crisis, just when you're about to pursue something for yourself, making you feel heartless for focusing on your own needs. The manipulator here isn't looking for help, they're looking for control. They understand that empathy is a powerful emotion, and they exploit it, twisting your natural desire to care for others into a tool to manipulate your decisions. They want you to feel so responsible for their happiness, so burdened by their suffering, that you neglect your own well-being to serve theirs. To break free from the chains of guilt, tripping, you need to understand that you are not responsible for another adult's happiness or emotional state. It's a radical act of self-preservation to realize this. Recognize that their victimhood often comes with an unspoken demand for you to solve their problems or cater to their every whim. Instead of rushing in to fix things, offer genuine support within your boundaries, but refuse to be emotionally blackmailed. "I'm sorry you're feeling that way, but I have other commitments." Or, "I care about you, but I can't take responsibility for your feelings." It's about differentiating between genuine distress and manipulative tactics, and it's about choosing your own well-being without apology. Yet, some manipulators don't rely on making you feel bad, they simply move the finish line. This is the fourth mind game, shifting goalposts or moving the bar. You try your hardest, you meet their demands, you achieve what they asked for, and just as you're about to feel a sense of accomplishment, they tell you it's not enough, or that the requirements have changed. "I asked you to finish the report, not to make it perfect. Now I need it revised for the executive board by tomorrow." Or in a relationship, "I told you I just needed more quality time, but now that we're spending more time together, I feel like you're smothering me." This tactic is designed to keep you in a perpetual state of striving and inadequacy. You can never truly win, never truly satisfy them, because their definition of enough is a constantly moving target. The goal isn't progress, it's control through frustration. By keeping you perpetually off balance and never quite good enough, they maintain their position of power. They want you to believe that the problem is always with your performance, your effort, or your understanding, never with their unreasonable demands. This erodes your confidence, makes you doubt your own capabilities, and ultimately makes you more dependent on their approval, which you will never fully receive. To combat the shifting goalposts, you need to draw a very clear line in the sand. When a new demand arises after you've met an initial one, calmly state, "My understanding was that X was the goal. If the requirements have changed, we need to redefine them clearly before I proceed, because I cannot meet expectations that are constantly moving." Document agreements. Get things in writing if possible. And most importantly, recognize that this game is unwinnable. Once you spot the pattern, you have two choices: refuse to play or disengage. Your worth isn't determined by a target that keeps vanishing into thin air. And what if they don't even bother with a clear target, but just create chaos and confusion to keep you utterly off balance, constantly yearning for a kindness that only occasionally appears? This leads us to the fifth, and perhaps most insidious mind game: intermittent reinforcement, or the hot and cold treatment. This is where a manipulator showers you with affection, praise, and attention one moment, making you feel like the most cherished person in the world, only to suddenly withdraw, become cold, distant, or even punitive, leaving you desperate to regain their favor. Think of the charming, magnetic individual who is incredible on a first date, then disappears for a week, only to resurface with an excuse that tugs at your heartstrings. Or the boss who praises your work lavishly one day, making you feel indispensable, then ignores your existence or dismisses your ideas the next, without explanation. This creates a powerful, addictive loop. Our brains are wired to seek rewards, and when those rewards are unpredictable, the craving becomes even stronger. This isn't about love or respect. It's about conditioning. They are training you to constantly seek their approval, to perform for their affection, to tolerate their bad behavior, all for the fleeting possibility of that next it of positive attention. Defeating intermittent reinforcement requires an almost superhuman level of self-awareness and self respect. You must recognize that this hot and cold cycle is not a reflection of your worth, but a deliberate tactic to control you. It's a game of push and pull designed to keep you emotionally tethered. The strategy here is not to try harder to win their consistent affection, but to disengage from the cycle entirely. Consistent love, consistent respect, consistent behavior, these are the foundations of healthy relationships. Anything less, particularly when it follows a predictable pattern of unpredictable highs and lows, is a red flag. Choose consistency. Choose predictability. Choose people who offer a steady warmth, not a flickering flame that might go out at any moment. Your heart deserves stability, not an emotional roller coaster. These 5 games, gaslighting, projection, guilt, tripping, shifting goalposts, and intermittent reinforcement, they all share a common thread. They prey on your empathy, your desire to be good, to be loved, to be understood. They work because they make you question yourself, rather than question the manipulator. They make you believe that if you just try harder, understand more, or sacrifice more, you can fix the dynamic. But the truth is, these are not problems you can solve with more effort or understanding. They are tactics designed to strip you of your power, your autonomy, and your peace of mind. The most profound way to defeat them isn't to master their game, but to refuse to play. It requires a courageous act of self-trust, a willingness to set firm boundaries, and sometimes, the strength to walk away from dynamics that chip away at your soul. You see, the real battle isn't with the manipulator, it's within yourself, reclaiming your right to your own reality, your own feelings, your own worth. It's about remembering who you are, independent of their twisted narratives. You don't have to play their game anymore. You have the map, the compass, and the courage to find your way back to yourself, to rebuild the trust you lost, and to create a life where your reality is honored, your boundaries are respected, and your peace is non-negotiable.